Okay, so now let's talk about shifting the supply curve to the right. So on the slides, you'll see our friend Ertl the turtle. Okay, I remember he's my ripoff of Finding Nemo. Okay, so Ertl the turtle tells us if we increase our quantity supplied, we're going to shift to the right. If we decrease our quantity supplied, we shift to the left. Ertl the turtle. Increase right, decrease left. Okay, so let's take a look at the actual shifting of it. So again, shifting the supply curve to the right. Right is our increase. Okay, our increase. So if we keep the same price point, P1 and Q1, okay, for whatever reason, and these reasons down here we'll talk about in just a second, we're going to then shift our quantity supply. So the price has not changed. We have not increased the price at all. We are going to shift our supply, and we have to make sure we shift it in the right direction and we shift it in the right placement. That's super important. Placement is important, okay? So here's your initial curve right here. I'm going to highlight it in orange so you can see it a little bit better. That's your initial curve. This is your initial point on that initial curve, the Q1, Q2. I also like to label mine S1, okay? So then you have an increase in your quantity supplied. This is your new point. So we're going to shift to the right. Here's your new point, okay? And go down here. So that must mean that we have an increase in the quantity supplied as shown in our shift and as shown from Q1 to Q2. Here's my new curve. I know that I have to extend it out to here and it goes down here. So my new curve has to go through that point. Okay, it has to go through that point. Okay, I like to label mine then S2 so I understand that this is a different curve. This shows an increase in quantity supply. So we increase our quantity supplied for 4 reasons. Natural conditions for production are favorable, or in this case, a fall in input prices. What I mean by input prices is what goes into making it. So this is what goes into making the product. Okay? That's what we mean. All right? We also have improved technology. All right, so this means technology used to make whatever item it is. It helps improve and make it more efficient to make. And then we also have increased number of sellers. So if you have more sellers, you have more supply within the market. Okay, and then sellers expect to sell more. Sellers expect to sell more. Okay, so this just means that they look at what they have, they look at the trends, and they see, I think we're going to sell more. Let's increase our product. We're not increasing price yet. We're just increasing the product. Okay. All right, so let's then take a look at what happens when we shift to the left. So again, our buddy Ertl tells us that when we decrease, we shift to the right. So shifting to the right causes a decrease in the quantity supplied. Okay? All right, so if we keep the same price point, P1, all right, and again, let's look at our initial curve. I'm going to highlight that in orange so you understand. Here's our initial curve. Here's P1, and here's Q1. Okay? Q1. All right. For whatever reasons, we'll talk about those in a second, my quantity supplied has decreased. So here's my new curve, and I showed you that I like to draw it out and then down so I can see it, and then make sure that my new curve goes through that line. Okay. And so this must be Q2. So this is S1 and S2. Okay. So I like to think of this as like it's exact opposite of your increasing. So why would they decrease? It's because the exact opposite. So we're going to start with the very rare one, a decrease in technology. Why is that rare? Because it's weird to say that you've lost technology. I told you guys day 4 of this class that when Rome fell, it's like we kind of forgot that everything, all the technological advances they made within like sanitation, things like that, just kind of disappeared with it. So that, I mean, very, very rare case that would happen. All right. This very rarely do we say, let's get rid of our technology. Let's lose efficient technology. Okay. Another reason why would be bad weather, which would then cause a increase in input prices. Okay, input prices. Okay. And what I mean by that is that we are looking at weather that then causes maybe crops to not grow efficiently, which then would cost more to create whatever it is, or there's a natural disaster that wipes out the entire supply of of rubber, and it makes it harder to produce shoes, okay? The next reason why is we have less sellers in the market, which means you're going to decrease. If you go from, let's say you go from 3 sellers of shoes to 1 seller of shoes, the overall quantity of supply to that market goes from 3 sellers to 1 seller. So we've decreased the amount of sellers, okay? Sellers leave markets for all kinds of reasons, and we can talk about those a little bit later, all right? Last, they expect to sell less. They're looking at it and they say, you know what, these might not be selling. We should go ahead and decrease our output, so decreasing our quantity supplied, because we're not going to necessarily sell it. So let's just decrease it, okay? We're going to talk about how all this affects price a little later on, but let's just stick with how to shift it. Because if you look at how to shift it, it's going to be easier to talk about why price increases and decreases.